We are live for a second time. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 15 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, with two of my co-hosts this time.
I'm still Mark.
And I'm still Austin, even the second time.
Yeah, we had some connection issues the first time we tried to record it, but we move on. And if people drop out of the call and it's my fault, then I guess I don't know. We'll wing it. We'll have a 5-minute episode. It'll just be a blooper reel. I honestly don't know. We'll see what happens. In terms of housekeeping, before we get started, make sure to follow us on Twitter at HotStoveWYO. Make sure to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, smash the notification button, and leave a comment if you feel like commenting as well. It's come to my attention recently that it looks like the fantasy basketball episode we did a couple weeks ago is now the most viewed episode of the show on the channel. So that's cool. If we have any new subs that are from that, hello. This is our normal.
How's it going?
Oh, please don't leave us. I swear we'll do more fantasy stuff. We have a fantasy basketball segment coming later this episode, actually. So make sure to stay tuned to the end. Because because football's over, it doesn't mean we're gonna stop doing FanDuel contests. So we decided this week we're gonna get into some fantasy basketball. We might do a hockey lineup here and there, maybe a golf lineup here and there. Maybe next week's one we'll do a lineup for the UFC pay-per-view next Saturday. Who knows? We'll see that when we get there. Josh was gonna be here, but he had a prior commitment with a Twitch channel for a friend's mom doing something for them. I don't know. It's a weird story. He might pop in later when we do our daily fantasy segment. But in the meantime, you get just the three of us.
I like how you were like, "Oh yeah, just stay in here. You don't have to say anything." He was like, "All right, bye." He just immediately left.
Yeah, I told him that he didn't have to say because we've had Connor on the show, so we're used to someone just sitting here and not saying anything. And then he just left. So maybe we'll see Josh later in the show. Who knows? In the meantime, what we're going to do is we are going to finally talk about football for the first time in the last month or so, because we had the holiday break and then we did the Stovies last week. So we're going to talk about all things NFL playoffs. We're going to break down the games from this past weekend, super wild card weekend, as the NFL was calling it. And then we are going to break down, that was a mean block. That was also a goaltend that I just saw. We'll break down the upcoming divisional rounds games as well before getting into our FanDuel picks for tomorrow night's basketball slate. So, without further ado, let me plug my phone in first. Let's get it started. Who wants to start? What we're going to do is I think we're going to have each of us take a lead on. I should really plan these things out before we start. But each of us take the lead on a game from each day. So who wants to talk about Bills Colts from this past Saturday?
I will.
Well, I'd love to let you do that, Mark, but I was actually at the game.
This is true. I forgot you were at the game.
I'm part of Bills Mafia. I had a Bills sweatshirt on. I was rooting for the Bills. I was there. No, I mean, if you have more ideas on the game, I just wanted to, flaunt to the audience that I was actually at the playoff game. But
go for it. You were there. You got the full 6,000 fan experience.
We could start from the beginning. We're out in pre-game warm-ups, crowd going crazy, 6,700 people. You'd think this isn't going to be loud. The seats aren't going to be packed. I mean, they're smuggling people in there. I mean, that looked like 15,000 strong. I mean, loudest crowd. I mean, I could even imagine for 6,000 people. I mean, it was crazy. Stephon Diggs, I've gained some love for him. I already liked him. I wasn't like Josh, who absolutely hates the guy, but I already liked him before. But then he goes out and he goes circles the entire arena playing catch with the fans before the game. Awesome to watch. It was great. Bills fans loved it. They all love Diggs. I mean, everyone who have a Josh Allen sign has a Diggs sign. So pretty cool to see. But then the game starts and the Bills defense stinks. The major takeaway from this game was that Josh Allen is going to have to be a wizard this playoffs to save the Bills going forward, because the Colts had one drive that did not end in Bills territory, and that was when they took a knee to go into half. That's bad. Honestly, it seemed like they went up 2 scores and they couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines from just running, gashing them. 20-yard runs, 15-yard runs, taking it down. In the end, Josh Allen scrambling around, throwing amazing sideline passes. Gabriel Davis, Diggs making incredible catches was really what saved the Bills in this game. Phillip Rivers not being able to make a Hail Mary to the end zone also helpful. But I mean, it was an incredible game to watch, and you almost had, and I'm sure someone will talk about this in the Browns game as well. But it was just funny sitting there with Bills fans, knowing the Bills and watching them almost blow this game, and like just watching the game come to an end, and you're like, they are going to blow this game, and it was. And then as soon as that fumble was not reversed, and they kept it. Down on the field.
That was ridiculous.
You just thought it was like, this is it. They're going to lose because of that, and everyone's just going to blame that, and that's going to be it. And we're all going to move on. But props to them. They stuck through it. They pulled out the win. So it was really cool to see the Bills come out first playoff win in a while. Thought it was a really good game. So that's my analysis.
Honestly, to me, I was talking about it in our group chat. I was talking about it in a couple other group chats. To me, the story of the game was just like how bad the clock management was, specifically by Frank Reich. Dude, that was one of the worst 2-minute drills, like at the end of the game. One of the worst managed 2-minute drills I've ever seen in my life. You're out of timeouts, and they just would not stop throwing to the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And they called 2 unnecessary timeouts earlier in the half, wasted them. So they had 1 timeout going into the drive, had to drive down the whole field in 2 minutes, and they would not throw outside the numbers. I don't know. It was actually kind of disgusting to watch. We'll get to other bad coaching when we get to the rest of the game. But
I think this game proved that the Colts did not deserve to be here, because this was the Bills that close to their worst this year. Like, their defense was god awful. Like Austin said, they could not stop the running game. And their offense wasn't too impressive. Like, Allen had a really good game and Diggs had a really good game. But, like, there were times where, especially in the first half, I was very unimpressed by the Bills' offense. So this isn't like you were playing the Bills of the past few weeks that were just dominating teams and were playing great football. This was the opposite. This was not great Bills football. And I've been saying it all year. I didn't know how the Colts won 11 games. No idea. Just that is an 8-8 team if I've ever seen one, and they ended up going 11-5, and it confused me all season. But it was a good game. It was a really fun game to watch. It was good to see fans back in Buffalo. I get it was only 6,700, give or take a few thousand. The smuggling that Austin said was going on, but it was just, this was probably the most fun I had watching a football game this weekend. Was this one. And I'm not Austin and I aren't Bills fans. Obviously you were at the game, so you had fun. But I think this was the most fun game from Wild Card Weekend, and as it should have been. I mean, the Bills should be one of the most fun teams to watch in football, just because of the whole fan base and the city of Buffalo. Like, it makes sense that the Bills are this fun to watch, and I'm glad they are. And it was a great game, and that was absolutely a fumble. I had people who I didn't know had ever watched a football game in their lives. But there was like 5 people I didn't know they knew football was a sport, and they texted me, and they're like, "That's a fumble," and I'm like, "Yeah."
I get it. The refs are just scared to end games and make decisions that end games like that, and I get it, but
I can't get it in an instance where it's that blatantly. I don't care if it ends the Super Bowl. I don't care if it's the game. Like, I don't care if it's a game where if the Colts lose, the NFL is over. Like, you got to make that call. Like, it's ridiculous.
Seriously, there were people texting me, and I'm like, "Oh, why are these people? People I haven't talked to in years. They just know I like sports." And then it's like, "That's a fumble."
I will add a tidbit that Josh would love to say if he was here. I know he'd say it. We saw the itch was back, and I think you guys can kind of understand what I mean by the itch. Josh Allen, he's back, baby. Designed runs, taking hits. He wants it again.
Yep.
And we all knew that fans might incite that in him. And
I don't
it
think
came
that's
true
going to end
this
up being a
weekend.
bad thing. Like, I think
I don't either.
in the past couple of seasons, I think the biggest problem with Josh Allen is the problem that Phillip Rivers has from time to time, is where occasionally he just blacks out and does some really dumb shit. And I don't think I think they got that out of Josh Allen. I don't see him blacking out and making shout out to Professor Moritz. I don't know if you've taken a class with him, Mark, but he calls it the Josh Allen YOLO experience. Like, that isn't much of a thing anymore. I don't know.
He mentioned that because I just had a class with him this past semester. He mentioned that at one point because we were talking football, and he was like, yeah, usually like every week I'd come in talking about the Josh Allen YOLO experience. It hasn't been happening. He was a little disappointed, actually.
Before we get to the next game, I forgot we got some news and notes to get to, actually, from the last couple of days in quite a few sports, not just the NFL. A couple of offensive line notes, specifically regarding the Colts. Offensive lineman Anthony Costanza has retired as of today. Congrats to him on his career. Maybe I'd have to look into it more. Maybe a borderline Hall of Famer, that guy. He's a guy that's been a stalwart of the league since he's been in. Also, we have another first in the NFL this weekend. We'll have the first player in NFL history to play for two different teams during the postseason. Jared Veldheer, his contract with the Colts ended this past weekend. So he played with the Colts against Buffalo, and then he signed with the Green Bay Packers and will be starting against the Packers against the Rams on Saturday. So we shout out to Jared Veldheer for being the first player to play with two teams in the same postseason. Other NFL news and notes.
I can't think of the player's name. Okay. I was going to say, I can't think of the player's name. There was a guy in the 80s. He was the Cubs were playing someone at Wrigley. I don't remember who it was, and he got traded in the middle of the game. So he just switched. He got traded to the Cubs in the middle of the game. So he just went over to the other dugout and he pinch hit for the Cubs.
That's funny. That's really funny. A couple other news and notes from the NFL. Bears defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano has retired. I wish him well in his retirement.
I didn't see this either. CBS Sports completely changed their user interface today, and that's the app I use the most. I haven't seen any news or anything, so I'm behind on all this. I didn't know.
Chuck Pagano retired like a half an hour ago. Some guy in the for Butler got his tooth knocked out, and it was looking disgusting. Sorry if I was looking up at the TV. So Chuck Pagano has decided to retire, hang it up. I don't want to make any mean comments about the Bears defense the last month and a half or so, because I have many that I can make. But we won't do that.
He's been around for a long time. He's had a good career.
I know he's a well-respected coach. He's had a good career. Congratulations on the career. I hope he does well in retirement. And last bit of NFL news and notes. We got another sport to get into after that. But last bit of NFL news and notes. The Eagles and Coach Doug Peterson have decided to mutually part ways. Now, I'm sure if he was African-American, they would have fired him, but that's beside the point when it comes to headline writing.
No, actually, original report said that they fired him, and I was surprised because they actually didn't. Like, it was actually a part ways. That was
it really? Weird part. I thought it was a firing.
The owners come out and said that it was a mutual. It's better for both of us.
Yeah, when he takes over the OC position for the Bears, it'll be
the butt buddies.
Throw it back to last week. We were talking about earlier about how the Galaxy Brain butt buddies are going to come back in full force next year. When the Bears hire Doug Peterson as their OC, they already have John DeFilippo as their quarterbacks coach, and they have Nick Foles. It's time to just run 2017 back. Do it again.
Yeah.
Why not? Right?
Is Jeffrey a free agent this offseason?
I don't think so, but from what I understand, the Eagles are planning on cutting him.
Oh, okay. So, get Jeffrey over there.
And Aguilar's also a free agent.
Yeah, Aguilar's a free agent.
Get Jeffrey back to Chicago. Sign Nelson Aguilar. Sign Zach Ertz after the Eagles let him go. Run the whole thing back.
What's Trey Burton up to these days?
Playing
He's
for the
got to
Colts.
throw a couple. Oh, he's on the Colts. That's right. Yeah, he's got to throw a ball or two to Nick Foles over the course of the year.
Why not, right? We'll get into
Yeah,
the coaching
I like it.
carousel more as hires and whatnot come in. So that'll come in future episodes. We don't really want to dwell
But
on
thank God he's gone.
that. Some MLB news.
That-
MLB news here, Mark. I'll let you weigh in on this one. The Chicago White Sox have signed Liam Hendricks to a 3-year, $54 million deal to come in and be the team's closer. Mark, what's your opinion on that? Does it make would you agree with the assertion by a friend of the show, Jeff Passan, that this signing officially asserts the White Sox as the best team in the American League?
I already thought they were in the conversation. So, yeah, they're good. They're losing Colomé. Alex Colomé was their closer last year. He's a free agent this year. He had like a .80 ERA last year.
You look at the advanced stats, Mark. We're gonna do the stat nerd thing.
Are we gonna do that?
We can do it. We can
what
do
are you
it
talking
at a different time because Alex Colomé is one of the biggest overperformers in baseball. But that's beside the point.
Hey, listen, overperforming is overperforming. It's still performing. If you're still getting the numbers, I don't care if he's overperforming.
Anyways, he's on the other side of 30 and he's not good anymore. So that's beside the point.
Liam Hendricks is also 32.
He's better.
I think it's a fine deal. I like 3 years. I wouldn't have liked 4 or 5. 54, that makes it, he's got the highest average annual value of any reliever in the history of baseball. He overtook Wade Davis for that when he signed that 3-year, $52 million deal with the Rockies. And we all know how that turned out. Wade Davis stinks.
Wade Davis does stink. Maybe they should have just not given him that money in the first place.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
But I like the deal. I like it. I'm not a huge give relievers big contracts guy. I think relievers are the running back.
But you agree with the Baseball Writers Association of America that they don't matter?
No, I think they matter. And I think guys like Billy Wagner should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame because it's much harder to be a relief pitcher for a successful relief pitcher these days for 15 years than it is a starting pitcher, in my opinion. Because for whatever reason, relief pitchers just lose it after 3 years and then they're never the same.
Sure.
So no, I think they absolutely matter. It's just I think they can be manufactured. I don't think Devin Williams is going to have a .3 career ERA. Call me crazy, but I think that's probably going to go up at some point.
Somebody fire the stove up because Mark is making hot takes.
But I like the deal. I don't know if the White Sox are quite the best team in the American League yet, but they're close. The Yankees are obviously up there. It's, if they want to compete with a bullpen, you got to compete with the Yankees bullpen. And so far, this White Sox bullpen doesn't do that yet.
I will say that they are, and I'll cite what Passan said in the article that he wrote about it, because it makes sense to me. Not only do I think that the Yankees bullpen has shown some serious signs of cracking over the last couple of years in terms of aging, and some people named Aroldis Chapman not quite being what he used to be, which is understandable when you throw as hard as you are and you're like 33 at this point. So
yeah, he's the 3rd or 4th best reliever in that bullpen.
Yeah. So
like
it's basically by proxy of what the other teams have done, right? So you run down the American League, any team that was better than Chicago in the standings, right? I got a notification about something. My bad. The Rays, they traded away Blake Snell. They non-tendered Hunter Renfroe. The Athletics lost Liam Hendricks. They're probably not going to keep Marcus Semien. They lost Robbie Grossman. The Cleveland baseball team, they traded away Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. The Yankees haven't signed anybody, including DJ LeMahieu. What other teams am I forgetting? Is that it? I think that might be it.
Those are the ones that were better than Chicago. Yeah.
You get my point though, right? Like,
yeah,
they might have jumped up to the top by proxy of the fact that the rest of the teams haven't done anything or have actually gotten
fair. I I don't believe the Yankees will go this offseason without either re-signing LeMahieu or getting someone else. I just don't believe that they're going to do that because I think Brian Cashman is too good of an executive to do that.
Well, yeah, and
So-
it's not dealing with a pitcher, so they might actually make a good decision.
Yeah, exactly. But they also are most likely going to lose Tanaka. I don't think they'll re-sign Tanaka. Which, you know, he's not great. He's not a Cy Young winner or anything, but he's a 3.5 ERA in the middle of your rotation. Guys like that are very valuable. Guys that are going to throw 180 innings, they'll have a 3.5 ERA. They'll strike out 8 guys per 9. Tanaka is very valuable in the sense that he's just a reliable arm to have in the rotation. So I think losing him is pretty big as well, but obviously not as big of a loss as LeMahieu if they're not able to get him. I really would be surprised to see him go anywhere else, though. I think he loves New York. New York obviously loves him. It seems like a perfect fit. It seemed like a perfect fit when he signed there in the first place, and I just don't see things changing there. And they might be in the trade market a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Yankees make not like a Lindor-esque trade or a Snell-esque trade, but pick up a couple, just depth guys to make that roster better. And, teams could always use that. So I think it's between the Yankees and the White Sox. I need to see a little more from the White Sox. Obviously, Lance Lynn is also a big addition. But some of those young guys need to have, like Yohan Moncada, I think needs to have a bounce back year this year for me to strongly consider them to be the best team in the American League.
On the Yohan Moncada front, and we'll get back to the NFL after I say this quick bit because it doesn't matter. But on the Yohan Moncada front, I'm giving him 100% of a pass for 2020 because he had COVID, and he said explicitly that he was one of the COVID long haulers.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming him for. Yeah, obviously that's most likely why he had a down year. But I would like to see a bounce back because I was never a huge Yohan Moncada guy in the first place. When the Red Sox signed him for $68 million or whatever it was, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We also did this to Rusney Castillo, and he is legitimately one of the worst baseball players I've ever seen. So it's like I've never been huge on him. I was happy to give him up in the Chris Sale deal. I was mad we gave up Kopech, but I was happy to give up Yohan Moncada in that deal. So I'd like to see a bounce back from him. And hopefully he'll prove me wrong. Hopefully he'll be really good, but I don't know if he's got it in him, to be quite honest with you.
All right, look, we'll get into this more when we do our MLB season preview. We'll have some other content like that later, after the Super Bowl kind of deal. In the meantime, Rams Seahawks. I don't remember the score of this game. The Rams won. The Seahawks looked bad.
30-20.
30-20. Did anybody watch the game? I didn't really watch much of the game. I don't remember what I was doing.
I watched it. This game stunk.
That game was terrible.
This was an awful game. I'm mad I watched it, to be quite honest with you. It was just like you would think, 30-20, there's some offense going on and stuff. No, this game stunk. Everything about it was boring. Jared Goff can't throw a football right now. It's almost like he had surgery on his throwing thumb 2 weeks ago, and Blake Bortles should have been active for the game, which no idea why he wasn't. But this game stunk. I have no other comments except Seattle obviously was not nearly as good as I thought they were going to be going into the year when I picked them to win the Super Bowl. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did Russell Wilson get surgery on his throwing thumb? Did we miss?
No, he
that,
also
or?
stunk. God, what is it? The last 8 weeks he's been like the worst quarterback in football.
I really don't know what's
I don't
happening.
think that's quite true, but yeah.
I mean, he's been the worst form of himself. That's for sure. I don't know what exactly is going on with him. Like, it's great. It's like he almost got the Wentz effect where he's scared in the pocket. Like, he knows his offensive line is going to break down. So as soon as he catches the ball, he's already like panic mode, running around, trying to do stuff. And he's not really reading the play. And he's not really looking for anything. He's just trying to extend every play. So that team is a bit of a disaster.
Well, yeah, and then they fired Brian Schottenheimer today. So apparently they don't want to let Russ cook anymore. Pete Carroll said that he wants to run the ball more next season.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So, gone are the days of letting one of the best quarterbacks of the last 15 years cook, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun
I
while it
don't know.
lasted
I
for
mean,
6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
can't-
those
what-
6 weeks were great. He was right there in the
what did you
MVP
guys think
conversation.
of the Jamal Adams hit? Did you guys think it was
I did not think
dirty?
it was dirty.
I
I
didn't
didn't
either.
either.
I didn't think it was
I mean,
dirty.
I think it could have been flag worthy, but I don't think it was dirty.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't. I don't think it was dirty. Less because of even what happened with the hit, but because of Jamal Adams' reaction afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pretty torn up.
Yeah. I didn't think it was dirty.
No, well.
I
The
wanted to
third
see
game,
Wolford go out and
Yeah.
just dominate in the playoffs. That would have been really exciting, but
Oh yeah, that would have made this a much better game than
Yeah.
watching Jared Goff struggle to throw the football 8 yards.
yeah.
the third wild card game on Saturday was Tampa Bay Washington. This game ended up being a lot more fun and a lot more competitive than I think anybody expected. First of all, I'd like to give my MVP of wild card weekend to Taylor Heineke, otherwise known as the man that I'm now calling Taylor Heineken, the champagne of quarterbacks.
That's exactly what my dad called him.
I think Taylor Heineke might have actually earned himself the starting job for the Washington football team in 2021. Why not?
So
You're not paying him anything. Kyle Allen sucks. You don't have Dwayne Haskins anymore.
Why
Yeah.
didn't Alex Smith play?
He was injured. It was his calf that he'd
He
been.
was.
It was his calf that he'd been
Okay.
dealing with recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't see an actual reason. So I was just curious if they were actively trying to lose the game or
No. Well, there was a thing later in the game too when very clearly Taylor Heineke, I think it was an AC joint sprain that he suffered. He left the game, and we were preparing for Steven Montez, rookie out of Colorado, to come into the game.
oh, I wish.
And then Heineke stormed back onto the field and made some great throws. That touchdown run, that's guts right there.
Oh, that was electric. I was so excited to see that.
That was electric.
This was a great game. I expected this
Yeah.
to be not a blowout because Washington's defense is pretty
You
legit.
just expect it to be kind of boring.
But yeah, I expected this to be like, I don't know, 38 to 17 or something like that. And it was close. It had a really good game, but Heineke was so much fun to watch. And I like this game. I didn't expect to like this game. I like this game a lot.
Yeah,
Good game.
You know, Steven Montez, he's famous for liking a tweet that said Dwayne Haskins sucks. He should be benched.
How reason
this
was that?
season. This season.
It was 2 weeks ago that he got cut.
Yeah, it was like the week before he got cut.
That's funny. That's really funny. That was good.
This dude
Tampa Bay
sucks.
won.
Well, if this guy thinks he sucks, he must really suck.
I think the comedy behind that is that with all the quarterback issues, he still didn't even find his way to playing a snap this season.
Nope.
Correct. He was the 5th quarterback on the depth chart in Washington.
Oh man.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Sunday. And what I think might have been the most interesting game to me, and I think it's mostly because of how much I love watching the Ravens operate. But Ravens-Titans, it ended up being 2013. And I think you guys know I was pretty critical in the first half, specifically the first quarter, of Greg Roman, specifically his play calling right after Tennessee scored the touchdown and Baltimore got their first down of the game. They just decided to throw like a 40-yard post outside the numbers that got intercepted. And yeah, it was a bad throw, but also like you have the worst quarterback in the NFL at throwing 15-yard passes down the field outside the numbers. And after getting your first down of the game, you decide to do exactly that. Like I was afraid that they were going to do the same thing that they've done anytime they go out to an early deficit, which is go into panic mode and get away from their identity, especially in a game where you're down 2 possessions at the end of the first quarter. Like that's not necessarily a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens don't have to break from their identity because they average like 8 yards a carry. Like they don't have to. They average the same as any other passing attack running the football. So I was terrified that that's the way it was going to go. And Tennessee's pass rush, which had been off in Cabo, the entire season, decided to show up this past Sunday. So they were really getting to him. But then the turning point of the game was very obviously Lamar Jackson rushing touchdown, which was a thing of beauty. After that, it seemed to me like Tennessee's defense had just gone back to Cabo. Like they left. They stopped trying. And with Tennessee's offense sputtering the way it was, and with Derrick Henry being bottled up, surprisingly, how he was, there was just nowhere to go, and Baltimore ended up the game. I don't think the game was quite as close as the numbers might tell you. That's what I'm getting at here.
This game for me was a game of moments, because the Lamar touchdown was great. The interception, it was like, holy shit, what a terrible throw. Like, there were a lot of moments in this game where it was like, oh, this seems like an exciting football game. And then the rest of the game to me was just dull and really boring. I don't take as much pleasure in watching a team operate as you do, I guess. Like their play calling and stuff like that. But obviously I know bad play calling when I see it, but like I don't necessarily pay attention to that sort of thing all the time. And like, yeah, there was some stuff that was like, oh wow, Derrick Henry's getting stuffed constantly. Lamar is using his legs. He can't use his arm. Like, but at the same time, I was just like, I don't know. It was a fine game.
I for one love watching the Ravens play. I don't know why.
I don't know why. I'm not a huge Ravens guy. Like, just watching them play is never usually that exciting for me.
Well, I think also they showed
Outside
that
of
like
Lamar.
You can use Lamar's arm in intelligent ways, like that throw to Mark Andrews, where there was just like there were a couple of throws to Mark Andrews actually during the game where they were like key first downs. That was just them playing backyard football. Lamar got it to him perfectly. Or that one deep shot that he took to Marquise Brown, I can't remember, third quarter, I think.
Yeah, that was a pretty good throw. Yeah,
you can do that kind of stuff. It's a really weird situation where the offensive coordinator is very clearly going to get in the way if their offense is going to fall apart. Like, it's not even with their personnel deficiencies, which they absolutely have. Like, they're a team that if it's going to take a lot to beat them if they just like don't panic, right? Like, and I think we were close to having a moment where they panicked in the first quarter.
Can I go on a slight tangent here real quick? So obviously the coach of the Baltimore Ravens is John Harbaugh. His brother just got an extension from the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
They're not interested in being good.
I'm sorry. This man is 0-5 against Ohio State. He is under 500 versus ranked teams. He's under 500 against ranked Big Ten teams. There's zero reason for this man to get a contract extension. This is the most mind-boggling contract extension I've ever seen for a coach.
I can guarantee you that's false, but I understand where the sentiment's coming from.
Like, there is no way this man deserves a contract extension. And he got one for 4 years or 5 years. I saw that the other day, and I was irrationally pissed off because my dad and I have been talking about how Harbaugh is going to get fired for, I don't know, 3 months, just constantly saying, oh yeah, Harbaugh's done. He's out of Michigan. And then they give him an extension.
You think this guy's a Michigan fan over here, the way he's upset.
Yeah.
Go Wolverines. All right, everybody.
I don't even like Michigan. Like, I don't like any Big Ten teams. It's just like, it just makes zero sense to me that when there's one game that Michigan plays every year that matters, there's exactly one game. Michigan could win one game every year, and alumni and fans would be happy as if it was they beat Ohio State. And if you get blown out by Ohio State, all 5 years you're there, excluding one, I think it was like a 7-point game.
Oh, that overtime game was insane. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a great game. But the rest of them are blowouts. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Okay. Anyway, on to the most boring, terrible game of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that was more interesting than talking about Bears Saints. There isn't anything to say.
Yeah.
That game went exactly as people should have expected it to have gone.
guess.
Shout out to Nate Burleson for making the Nickelodeon broadcast at least somewhat entertaining.
I didn't get to watch it because we have Hulu Live, and Hulu Live doesn't have Nickelodeon, so I didn't even get to watch the Nick broadcast.
It wasn't terrible. It was fun. It was fun. I don't remember her name. It's Gabby something. She's on the reboot of All That.
I don't know, man.
She was like the third analyst in the booth, and she was interesting. I mean, I've never seen someone more obsessed with a kick in a game of football. Like, they would kick the ball and she'd be like, "It's all the way up in the air." Yeah, it's a punt.
I'd rather talk about the Nickelodeon broadcast than actually talk about what happened in this football game. So I'm glad.
Yeah, me
with that.
too.
Did you
That's
see
why I
that?
brought up the Nick broadcast.
My favorite thing about the game was when a penalty would happen and they'd have the kid that plays young Sheldon pop up on the screen to explain the penalty
Oh my god.
and what it means. Yeah.
Is young
It's my
Sheldon
favorite show on
on
television.
Nickelodeon
So, like,
now?
what?
Is that on Nickelodeon now?
No, it's CBS.
But-
Viacom.
Oh,
owns
okay.
both
Because it was a
CBS and
CBS
Nickelodeon.
simulcast.
Yeah.
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 That first of all, that show is one of the worst television shows I've ever seen. I'm just throwing that out there. Young Sheldon makes me so mad because I
bad.
also hate The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. This is a podcast that hates the Big Bang Theory.
As it all podcasts should.
And that's factual. Austin, you don't like it, right?
No, I don't.
I
Is that
watch.
a Chuck
Josh
Lorre
probably
show?
loves it. We'll ask him when he comes back. Josh probably loves the Big Bang Theory.
Zach, do you know, is that a Chuck Lorre show?
The
The guy who created
so.
2.5 Men and
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, Chuck Lorre doesn't make funny TV. 2.5 Men also sucked. So
Yeah, well, 2.5 Men also had the worst ending in the history of anything.
yeah, that's not true. The Sopranos ending exists. So
I like the Sopranos ending. So.
I also don't hate it. I just brought up the one that infuriates me more is the ending of Dexter. But yeah,
Well, they brought that back though, so that doesn't count.
they brought that back because they're Dexter coming back.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Netflix.
Oh, like it's gonna be a continuation.
Yeah, like the show itself is coming back.
Oh, that's really stupid. I don't want to see that.
The
last 3.5
but-
seasons of Dexter already exist. Why ruin it more on Netflix?
Have you ever seen the last scene of 2.5 Men?
No.
It's
Was
Chuck
the Ashton
Lorre, right?
Kutcher version? Was he in that show?
Yes,
Oh.
it's Chuck Lorre, and
Oh.
he's sitting in a director's chair that says Chuck Lorre on the back of it. So we all know that it's Chuck Lorre.
So they broke the fourth
And-
wall.
Yes, and
Oh.
they're showing like they pan away from like the set and all that stuff, and it shows Chuck Lorre. And right before that, someone had just knocked on the door of the house, and they open the door, and you see the guy from behind, and it's clearly not Charlie Sheen, but it's a guy who's being paid to look like it's Charlie Sheen, and they drop a piano on him,
Oh my god.
and then it pans.
Wow.
Then it pans away to show Chuck Lorre in his chair, and he's facing away, and then he goes like this, winning, and then a piano falls on him.
What?
You can't make this up. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yeah, I can give it to you. We can watch it. Let's again. I would much rather talk about this than that Bears Saints game. That game, it was bad. The Saints played well. The Bears didn't. Shocker. Okay, that's the game. Now, Marco, you can share your screen if you can find it. Oh wait, you might not have audio. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was the last time we tried to have somebody else do it, and there wasn't any audio. So let me see if I can pull it up.
Oh, okay.
Can you put the link in the
2.5?
chat?
Oh,
Yeah.
I got the link. I can.
Somebody put the link in the chat.
That's the link. If you go to 135 in that.
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna say to go to.
Okay. Give me 1 second. In the meantime, do you guys have any thoughts to offer on this Bears Saints game?
No.
The only
Okay,
thing
well,
I
you
had
need to vamp
was
because I'm looking at an ad right now.
the only thing I had was, did this game give you more or less confident about the Saints' Super Bowl chances?
A little more confidence. Drew Brees played okay.
Yeah, he did. He had a fine game.
Right now,
felt
as
to me
it
like
stands, I still tend to think that they're the third best team remaining in the NFC. So I don't
I
love
agree.
their chances, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
we'll kind of get to that.
I feel like
with
they
the
feel like they know how to coach. Like
Yeah.
they know what they need to do to win, and they know how to set their defense up to win them
Yeah.
games as well.
Like imagine Sean Payton host or coaching the Buccaneers. They might go undefeated. They have a quarterback who
True.
can actually throw the ball. All right, I'm going to share my screen. You said a minute 30?
Yeah, like minute 35.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's watch the
It's
ending of 2.5 Men.
unbelievable.
I've never seen this, so
It's
I'm totally excited.
unbelievable.
Neither have I, so we're going to watch it.
Cops got the wrong guy. Dude.
You guys can hear it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No way. What? What?
Winning.
What the hell? That might have been. That might have been one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in the history of television.
It's the dumbest thing ever put on television. It's amazing.
I can't believe what I just watched.
Jeez, that
What
is.
is that?
Winning piano.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was
got a
something
notification
for
that
sure.
that Lonzo Ball's out tomorrow with a bilateral knee, whatever that means.
No idea.
I also have no clue. But yeah, so that was bad. Just like that Saints Bears game. Let's move on to the last game of the of Super Wildcard Weekend, and easily the game that surprised me the most.
Yeah.
And that was Cleveland laying the smackdown on Pittsburgh. Yeah, man. I said it week 16 when the Steelers played the Colts, I think, that it kind of surprised me that it took the NFL 16 weeks to figure out the league's most boring offense.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said to me during the game too. Because
Yes.
Zach and I were like watching this game somewhat together on Zoom because he was helping me with a fantasy hockey draft.
Correct. Yeah. My fantasy hockey draft. I'm glad that I wasn't able to land Evander Kane, by the way. Remember I was upset about not getting him?
Yeah.
Do you see the
Yeah,
news
that's
from
tough.
today?
No, I didn't.
Evander Kane is apparently $27 million in debt. He just filed for bankruptcy, and he said that he might not play this season so he can recoup his financial losses. So,
Yeah,
wow.
apparently the debtors will be able to collect basically his contract if he plays. So
Holy shit.
he's not going to play.
That's a bad situation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really bad.
But that's beside the point. Yeah, the Browns won without Kevin Stefanski. They won without Ali Marpet. They won without like 4 defensive starters, including Denzel Ward and Olivier Vernon. And they came out, they laid the beat down. I mean, it was scary for a minute in the third quarter if you're a Browns fan.
Yep.
Pittsburgh started coming back a little bit, but it was a little too
I
late.
think right on that mark where they decided to punt at the Browns like 45-yard line instead of go for it.
Yeah.
Was like that was it right there. If the Browns took that next possession back and scored, that was going to be the game, and they did. And that's what really stood out to me. Baker, when he needed to drive and score to end that game, he did it. He did it twice.
I'm glad hopefully the public narrative can come back around the second full circle on Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Because we came into the league, it was like, oh, this guy sucks, blah, 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 blah. And then he was really good his rookie season. And then he was really bad last year. And now we're back to him being really, really good. So, I mean, I'm glad. I'm happy for the man. I love me some Baker Mayfield.
Good in a way where he's just way smarter now. Just
Yeah.
way more.
It's almost
real
like
bad.
people should have given him a pass for having Freddie Kitchens as his main play caller. Shocking,
Yeah.
right? Insane.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's weird how that thing works.
I told my dad, who's a Steelers fan, that one team every wild card weekend goes, they didn't believe in us. We believed in us.
I was thinking about that before the weekend. Like, there's always one team wild card weekend that comes out and shocks everybody, and I couldn't pinpoint who it was gonna be.
It was either going to be them or
Well,
Washington.
I had actually thought it was going to be Washington, which was a bit of a homer pick because I just wanted to see Tom Brady lose to the football team. I thought it'd be kind of funny. But once all the games were done and it was just Brown Steelers, I was like, this has got to be it. It's the only one left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was.
Also, I just want to say Chase Claypool is a whiny baby boy.
I mean, he's not
Yeah.
wrong though. The Browns might get clapped this week, so.
Yeah, but I don't care. You would
Yeah.
think he'd be used to losing big games. He went to Notre Dame.
I don't know. I kind of cut some slack.
Like,
Point.
it,
Good point.
like it's just I get like Sammy Watkins and guys on the Chiefs talking shit, like whatever. That's their next opponent. Even Juju took the loss. He was like, yeah, we lost. They were the better team that day.
Well,
Juju's dancing on people's
Juju's
logos.
fourth year in the league. Claypool's a rookie who had a really, really high level of success and probably is really let down in the moment. I mean,
Chase Claypool played well on Sunday.
He
Now,
did.
to be fair, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger set the record for most completions in an NFL game.
I didn't even see that.
That was an actual, like, most completions ever in a football game.
Oh shit.
It was
I
like
lost
he had
40.
70 he had 70 pass attempts. He completed 47 of 68.
Yeah.
501 and 4. He was 5 yards from breaking the playoff yardage record.
Yeah. I believe I saw it on the broadcast. 47 is the most completions in any NFL game ever. Which is strange because, well, I guess not that strange. I was going to say Joe Burrow had a game where he attempted 63 passes earlier this season.
Yeah.
47 completions is absurd.
Yeah. So
47 for 68, 501, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now,
That is,
are we sure Jameis Winston
yeah,
didn't
I was
face
just
himself?
gonna say that was a Jameis line if I've ever seen one.
Did Jameis go white face and sub in at quarterback for the Steelers? Because that's the most Jameis Winston line of all. Jameis Winston
I got to know
line
what
of
his
all time.
fantasy numbers were. Give me a second. I'm interested to see what his fantasy stats were. I'm going to pull it up. In the meantime, does anybody have anything interesting to say about this game?
Well, I won't dive too deep into it, but they showed videos of Roethlisberger crying on the sideline after the game, probably his last game, whatever. And I felt bad for a second, and then I remembered what he did, so I no longer care at all.
Ben Roethlisberger had 34 fantasy points. You'd expect for someone to throw for 504 to have more than that, but he did not.
Yeah. Oh man, it's Big Ben's last game. Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be his last game. He has said he's going to come back next season.
Yeah.
I don't know if he said
But the
that since the
Steelers
game on Sunday,
just-
but he said it a couple weeks ago.
You see, Philip Rivers said he's either going to play for Indy or retire.
I didn't
So
see
if Indy,
that.
yeah, he said if Indy doesn't bring him back, he's going to be wearing a baseball cap, coaching his son's high school football team.
Which one?
That'd be awesome.
I don't know. But...
That would be awesome to have Philip Rivers as a coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't
even
see.
if he gets mad, he's not going to yell at you.
They might. I don't know what the Colts are going to do. I think it'll be a fascinating case this offseason.
I agree.
Let's move forward here to the games this upcoming weekend. We'll start with Saturday afternoon, the 4:30 game. Here we got Rams, Packers. We got the number 1 seed in the NFC taking their first shot at the playoffs here. What are you guys thinking about this game? And I think to me, it's going to hinge on Jared Goff's hand. Jared Goff's right hand to me is going to determine how competitive this game is.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of tough to say right now.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm leaning Packers -6.5. It's in Green Bay. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy. Like everything about that points to the Packers winning. But I don't know. I'm not too sure yet.
I can't imagine a weak thumb post surgery is good with a wet, snowy ball.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And also, by the way,
everything's pointing to Green Bay.
it's just a thing to note for this week. Sorry. Cooper Kupp did not practice today. They had their first practice of the week, and Cooper Kupp was out with a knee injury. Now, Sean McVay said
it didn't look good either.
Sean McVay said it was bursitis, and they hope that he can play this weekend, but we will see how that goes moving forward. So,
I mean, they're going to need Jalen Ramsey to be God on the field. I mean, quite literally make Devontae Adams look like me out there if they want a chance to win that game.
They're going to have him do what he does to DK Metcalf to Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Which I personally don't think is actually possible, but, seen crazier things. Derrick Henry rushed for 40 yards on 2 yards carry this weekend, so.
Yeah, I'm leaning Packers as well. I don't know. This to me is, I think, the least interesting game of the weekend.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
The second game we got Saturday night, Buffalo, New York. We got Bills. The Bills hosting a primetime playoff game. Ooh-wee! And it's against the Ravens? Oh, boy. This game is it got me hot and bothered. Both of them. Damn, this game is set up to be freaking awesome. Lamar Jackson was talking today in his presser about how he's never played football in snow before. So that'll be interesting. I don't know how much it hampers his ability to play football, but
I hope they get 8 inches to a foot in Buffalo.
It's calmed
during
down
the
a bit.
game.
Originally, it was supposed to be 6 to 8 inches. Now it's calmed down a bit.
Damn, I want a
It's
snow
not
game.
gonna- it's not
That's
gonna
what
be
I
that
want.
Yeah, I want a primetime snow game in Buffalo in the playoffs. That would be
Oh my god,
perfect.
that would be insane. I think this game is going to hinge on Buffalo's defense. To me, is the X factor in this game.
Yeah, because the Bills cannot tackle. Just terrible at tackling people on the football field.
Yeah, and it's going to be rough going up against this rushing attack.
Yeah.
You have tough sledding ahead of you if you can't tackle. Like you're going to get burned. I think to me the two X factors in this game are Buffalo's run defense and Greg Roman not panicking if the Bills come out and strike quick. Anything else?
I'm just very excited for this game. This is going to be the most fun game of the weekend by
I
far.
could have been there, but I gave up my ticket. So.
Damn, that's sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
That's okay. I wanted to give it to Bills fans who actually want to go see him win because I kind of want to see him lose, and so I don't think I'd very welcome there.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad you gave up your ticket.
Yeah, but this, in my opinion, I know we got Breeze Brady, but Bills Ravens is the best game of the week in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean that Bucs Saints game is going to be a chef's kiss. I love it. Then we got the first game Sunday afternoon, a 3 p.m. start time. The number 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, hosting your Cinderella for this postseason, the Cleveland Browns. Now, I think this game is going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really competitive. I know it's much has been made about Kansas City unbeatable, and probably, but also they haven't won a game by more than a possession since when they played the Jets in week 7.
Yeah.
So they won every game since then by less than 6 points. So I expect this game to be pretty close. Kansas City's run defense isn't very good. And you know what Kevin Stefanski likes to do, run the tar out of the football. So I'm just really excited to see what happens. And I think we might be looking towards a pretty big Tyreek Hill game because of the deficiencies in the back end of Cleveland's secondary. But also, I wonder what the weather – I'm going to look up what the weather looks like for Kansas City on Sunday. Give me 1 second.
It's supposed to be cold but sunny.
No snow in the forecast?
Not that I've seen.
Not that it matters all that much, honestly, because it's not like Cleveland is the sunniest place known to humankind. But
yeah, but I've seen mid 40s and sunny.
Okay, I got you.
Maybe even lower.
That game should be pretty interesting. Like I said, I think the X factor to me in this game is I think Cleveland's going to be able to keep it close, but I wonder if the defense is good enough, if they do keep it close, to get that stop that they're going to need at the end of the game. It's going to come down to, they need a stop to win this football game, to have the chance to win this football game. And I don't know, and I don't necessarily think, if I had to pick the game, I'd pick the Chiefs, right? But I think this game is set up to be sneaky fun, sneaky good. And welcome back, Josh, to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
We already told the viewers what weird shit you were doing, so Yeah.
playing a while.
Helping your friend's stepmom. I guess she was stuck in something, or
Oh yeah. It was, dude, I wish. Are you kidding me? She's a fuck smoking. Man.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Okay. And then we got our last game of the weekend, primetime Sunday night football here. We got Bucks, Saints. I love divisional matchups in the playoffs. This is the third time these two teams have faced off. New Orleans has won both of the first two meetings, including a 38-3 victory the second time they played each other. Now, I don't expect this game to be a blowout. And I picked the Bucks both the first two times they played, and I'm going to pick the Bucks again in this game. I don't know what it's been this season. Maybe it's because Sean Payton is just a far better coach than Bruce Arians, and when you try to go no risky, no bisky against the best roster in the NFC, you get clowned, basically, and they've gotten clowned the first two times they played each other this year. So I wonder if they're gonna do like a playbook that might switch. It would behoove them to switch up their playbook from the first two times they played each other. I wonder if Bruce Arians is too stubborn to do that. I really don't know. But Drew Brees looked okay against Chicago. Like, he looked fine, not as good as he did week 17, but also not as bad as he did week 16. He looked okay. And I think an okay Drew Brees could be more than enough to go out and win this football game. I think it's a fairly fascinating game. Now that they got Michael Thomas fully healthy, he looks really good on Sunday. And shout out to what was the guy's name? Lil
Jordan Humphrey.
Lil Jordan Humphrey, who caught one pass.
Don't you disrespect him?
And I said, "Who is Jordan Humphrey?" And Josh said his name is actually Lil Jordan Humphrey. So,
which it is. I only know that from Madden. Yeah. He was on a waiver wire.
Shout out to Lil Jordan Humphrey. What are your guys' opinions on how this game's going to break down?
I could really see this one going either way. I'm like, this is the hardest game of the week for me to pick, I think. It like you said, if Drew Brees is fine and Alvin Kamara is alive, I think the Saints have a really good chance to win this game. But it's also Brady in the playoffs. It's also, he looked really good on Sunday against Washington. So it's sort of like, I don't know. I could see this one breaking either way. I like the line at 3. I think that's like perfect. I think this is going to be close. I think it's going to be hard fought the entire time. And also, I'm just excited for Brady Brees in the playoffs.
We've never gotten that before.
Yeah, we've never gotten it before. I get they're both geriatric, but it's still it's still Brady versus Brees. Brady versus Brees. Why can't I fucking say that? Brady versus Brees in the playoffs. So I'm excited for it.
Before we get to the thoughts of the other two of you, Josh, I have a question for you. Two questions for you, actually. Have you seen the ending of 2.5 Men?
With Cooch?
With what?
Yeah, like the last scene of 2.5 Men.
Maybe? I don't know. I did watch
Show it to him.
No, yeah.
We're not watching it again. You can look it up after we're done. We decided to talk about bad TV endings instead of the Bears-Saints game. So we watched the ending of 2.5 Men because Mark said it was the dumbest thing ever put on TV. And wow, it was terrible. It was really bad. All right. And also, second question, do you like The Big Bang Theory?
I watched The Big Bang Theory. I haven't watched in like 5 seasons, but I did used to watch with my family. I don't necessarily like it though.
Okay, so we were gonna peg ourselves as the anti-Big Bang Theory podcast, but you need to be on board for that. So
that's important.
Okay, so
right, cool.
This is the Hate Big Bang Theory podcast right here. I'm gonna change the name. It's no longer.
Love it.
It's the We Hate the Big Bang Theory podcast. Austin, why don't you break down the battle of the retirement homes for me?
Yeah, I want to let Josh, go and have a little bit more time. I'll be short and sweet. We know how much I hate the Saints. 38-0 Tampa Bay. Forfeit at halftime. Prediction.
Okay. Well, I don't really need that much time anyways either because I'll tell you, the Bucks are probably the hottest team in the league right now, and I wouldn't want to touch them if I was another NFL team. They're the scariest team in this playoffs, and the Saints are going to get routed. I think +3 for the Bucks is a miracle line, money line. Toss it with the 3, take the 3 just because you want it. But if the Bucks lose this game, I'll be very surprised. New Orleans hasn't looked hasn't looked good to me at all this year. Never. Even last week, like you said, they just kind of walked by the Bears. Not by any matter of what they did to impress me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm with Austin. Maybe I hear too much from Austin, but the Saints don't do it for me. And so Drew can go fall off in a retirement home, and me and the TB12 routine, I don't know if you remember from last time, but me and the TB12 method, we'll be marching on to the NFC Championship game. So that's what I got.
Is Alvin Kamara scoring 6 touchdowns just not impressive for you?
No.
Think
doesn't
about
impress
this. Is the NFL going to let us get Breeze Goff? No. It's going to be Tampa and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers announced today on the Pat McAfee podcast that he's going to be one of the guest hosts for Jeopardy.
I saw that as well.
Aaron's got to have fun, Rodgers.
Yeah, big fun guy now. He's now the fun guy. He's like
He
Kawhi.
hates his Family Guy as well.
Hates him. Does not like him. Wasn't his brother the Bachelor?
Stupid.
Something like that.
Yes.
I believe his brother was the Bachelor. He was on.
Yeah.
He was on a season of the Bachelor. So I don't know. That's it for our playoff preview here today. So we're gonna get into our we're bringing daily fantasy back, ladies and gentlemen. I know we didn't do it last week because we had a whole award show and blah 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 blah. But guess what? Just because the regular season isn't over doesn't mean we don't have daily fantasy to play. So what we're gonna be doing this week is we're going to be doing a lineup for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, January 13th. A lineup for tomorrow in the NBA. There are 8 games on the slate tomorrow. And who wants to start with their lineup? We've done a hot stove lineup. So who wants to start with it?
I'll do it, I guess. No one else is jumping forward. For my Blue Moon bullshit basketball FanDuel lineup of the week. My 2 point guards, I've got Chris Paul, 7,100. Phoenix is playing Atlanta. Trae Young cannot play defense at all. So I expect Chris Paul to have a big game. My other point guard, I went a little cheaper. I've got Tyus Jones because there's too many slots in a fantasy basketball lineup for me to spend as much money on each player as I would like to.
Tyus Jones?
Yep, we're going with Tyus Jones.
What is he? Does he still play for the Timberwolves?
Tyus Jones is a Memphis
No,
Grizzly. He's the starting point guard with John Moran out.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
John Moran is missing time, and they are playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm buying into the Tyus Jones revenge game.
I like it. I like the angle.
My 2 shooting guards, I've got Buddy Hield because Buddy Hield is good at basketball, makes a lot of threes. Sacramento is playing Portland. Portland also doesn't like to play defense. So I've got him and the man, the myth, the legend, White Dante. Milwaukee is playing Detroit. Detroit's stinky poo-poo. Give me White Dante. He's going to put up a couple of 3 balls. He's going to make a couple. It's going to be White Dante's going off tomorrow against
He's
the
going to make
Detroit
a couple
Pistons.
of threes. He's going off, everybody.
Yep. He's going to have 8 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. It's going to get me 13 fantasy points, and I'm going to take it. Another Milwaukee player. I've actually got a little bit of a game stack going in this one. A little mini game stack here. I got Chris Middleton as my first small forward. Chris Middleton's been balling out this year for Milwaukee. Like I said, I like the matchup against Detroit. So yeah, give me the middleman going up against the Pistons in the Motor City. And then I had to spend big on somebody. So I spent big on Kawhi Leonard. Got Kawhi Leonard 9,200 playing the Pelicans in LA at the Staples Center. It's Kawhi. He's going to do things. Got Blake Griffin and John Collins are my forwards. Once again, around 7,200 for Collins, 6,100 for Griffin. I didn't realize he's been that bad this year. But Blake Griffin is confirmed good at basketball. And the man with the afro down there in Brooklyn, Jared Allen.
Dog, we have like the
Is
same
my
lineup.
center. Do we really?
With the exception of actually no, we have 4 of the same players. Never mind.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you don't seem to have Tyus Jones in your line.
I don't. I like to go for leverage because I play GPPs fairly often, but like I don't know if I like to go for that much leverage. That's a good note though that he's starting point guard. Maybe I'll change something right now. Austin, why don't you tell us about your lineup?
So my lineup, first point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, Tyus Jones. Yeah, I mean he's averaging 25 fantasy points per game, but recently he scored 42 and 37 the last 2 games. Minnesota can't guard me, so I don't really care. Minnesota also doesn't try, and they have a really high pace of play, so I expect the over-under to be decently high and Tyus Jones to be facilitating that. My other point guard in this game we should be stacking. Everyone should be stacking. Portland at Sacramento. I have Damian Lillard. Sacramento has been averaging 130 points per game against the last 5 games. That's absurd. And Sacramento just doesn't get blown out. I don't know if you've watched any of the games this season. They always, for some reason, just keep it close. I don't know why. So I expect that game to be extremely high scoring. And so I like Damian Lillard in those types of games where you just need a guy to go out and score for you. Shooting guards, I went for my first one, Therese Halliburton. He is the rookie point guard out of, I forgot where, Iowa State, I think. And
yeah, I think so.
He's actually slotted at the shooting guard for the Kings, and he's been starting the last couple games. He's playing 30 minutes a game. He's only 5,400 on FanDuel. He's going to get you 30 fantasy points. He does everything. He gets steals. He gets assists. He scores for you. He's just a really good player. And again, in that high scoring game, I like him. My second shooting guard, another guy, you guys might be saying, who? Hamidou Diallo for the Oklahoma City Thunder. His last 2 games, he scored 41 and 47 fantasy points. The Thunder are playing the Lakers, and I don't really see the Thunder keeping in that game. And so I think Diallo off the bench will see a lot of minutes in that game once it gets out of hand. My next player, Harrison Barnes, who's also been playing well recently, also in that Portland game. Harrison Barnes is just a scorer. He's last 30 minutes considerably, pretty much every single game. He's got up to 38, 39 minutes sometimes this year. So I see him just playing a whole lot of minutes in a high-scoring game. He's only 6,800 for a player who's averaging over 30 fantasy points a game. It's pretty good. Next player. Now, I know all of you will be saying who to this character. Saddiq Bey. He's a rookie for the Detroit Pistons. Not many people know him. He's 4,200. Obviously, very low-priced, high-value player. Another game that I think is a blowout. I think the Bucks just go in and just go up 30 at halftime. And the Pistons have been benching. If you're wondering why Blake Griffin's been bad this year, they don't play him. They don't play their good players. They play their rookies. They play their young guys. So I see Saddiq Bey just getting a lot of minutes. He's averaging 20 fantasy points per game. And if he can get you 20 fantasy points at 4,200, you can't really hate that too much. And then my power forwards, Julius Randle, been unreal this season. This is coming off one of the worst games he's had this season, actually. 24 fantasy points, by far the worst game he's had this season. But he's slotting in at high minutes. We know Tom Thibodeau just loves to rack up those minutes for his stars. He'll play 38, 39 minutes this game. Brooklyn gives up a lot of points, and a lot of points on the interior. I don't think any forwards are really as athletic and good as Julius Randle on that team. They got Joe Harris playing power forward sometimes, so that's pretty embarrassing. My next power forward, PJ Washington, the young kid out of Charlotte against Dallas. This one is a little bit contingent on whether Porzingis plays or not, which he very well might. But PJ Washington averaging 30 fantasy points per game this season, 49 against Atlanta recently. He's actually been pretty good, and he's been playing a lot of minutes for Charlotte, up over 30. Again, just like some of most other players, you'll see a trend. I like to do guys who play 30 minutes and more. But if Porzingis is playing, it's kind of a hard matchup for him. Obviously, Porzingis, an excellent defender. Then my center against Minnesota, regardless of whether Karl-Anthony Towns plays or not, I'd prefer him to because he's such a putrid defender. I have Jonas Valanciunas, who is just a floor guy. He's 6,900, and he gets 10 rebounds a game. He gets 10 points a game, and he might get a block. He might get an assist. He's going to get you 25, 30 fantasy points, and I just want a floor guy that will keep the rest of my lineup consistent.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into it right here. I opted for kind of like a game stat, but I went with team scorer. Similar to the fantasy league we're in, I went with absolute guys who could just put up 50 on in a day's basis, anything, 50 and nothing. That's what I'm going for. Starting out with Karis LeVert, a point guard. Guy's a loser. Never heard before this year. Probably because I didn't watch basketball, but here he is, lighting it up. Good for you, young man. Karis LeVert. We got the brothers down in Charlotte. You know them. Shooters, balling, Terry Rozier, and Devontae Graham. If they're having a good night, this team's deadly. If they're having a bad night, I'm last. Tim Hardaway at shooting guard. Tim Hardaway is dropping buckets like it's nuts.
Yes,
And it's kind of disgusting, actually. So he's dropping buckets. The only team scorer. He probably sucks elsewhere, but he shoots three and he shoots a lot of them. So come on down. I heard you say his name once the other day, Austin. Cameron Johnson. He's cheap. Sure, he'll probably lock in. I don't know. It's automatic. It's automatic. He's lighting it up.
Phoenix play tomorrow?
Atlanta.
Ooh, I like
Yeah.
that matchup.
Yeah.
And then Mark, similar to you, Chris Middleton. You want to talk about team scorer? This guy. He is the team. Also, Julius Randle. Love him.
Yeah, screw that 7-foot guy they got playing small forward.
Yeah, I mean, it said on Christmas Day, it was Middleton's Bucks that took it away. I like the bottom line when it said Middleton in the Bucks. That's what it is, baby. He's taking over that team. Julius Randle logging in at power forward for me. You know, new Knicks faithful. Got to represent. Big Nick. Roko at the other power forward spot. Why, you ask? I don't know. Just feeling it. You know, kind of cheap. Had some cash left over. Maybe you shoot a couple threes. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. Who knows? And Austin, I had Big Daddy Richaun Holmes down there, but he's hurt. Probably not going to play. And I had the money, so I did opt to go for the floor plays. You so called him Jonas Valanciunas. So that's what I went with. Swap that up.
God,
Also, I just like to let it be known. Sorry to go in that. The Sixers were 9-point favorites tonight. Nunez, I'm sure you're following along. Going into the fourth, they were 1 point ahead. I was like, wow, they really got to come back in this one. Got up to a 12-point lead in the fourth, and they are down 4 with 40 seconds left.
nice. All right.
It might be time to stop betting the Sixers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I bet them last three games. They're 0-3 after being the best team in basketball. So,
All right, give me 1 second. I'm still fixing my lineup right now. Who wants to vamp about something? Someone vamp.
I got nothing. All I know is just gonna finish it dead last. I can guarantee you that right now.
I'm watching this SU
If there's-
basketball game. They're playing North Carolina. Poo-poo. SU
Use?
stinks.
I got my lineup. Don't worry about it. All right. So, I like to play some GPPs, so I think it's important to get some leverage on the rest of the field. For those of you who don't know, GPPs are large field tournaments in daily fantasy. So it's important not only to get guys who have floors, but get guys who aren't going to be super high rostered. Now, whether that's the most expensive guys sometimes aren't the highest rostered players. And then there's some cheap plays that you can find by leveraging minutes and injuries and that kind of thing and the like in order to get yourself going here. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go with the game stack of the game that's has an over-under right now of 236, which is the highest by a mile tomorrow night, and that is Portland, Sacramento. So I went with Damian Lillard, assuming he can play. He's currently probable with an ankle injury, but I assume he'll go out there and make a show. And Robert Covington on the Portland side as well to get a little leverage off of guys like I don't know, man. What are their names? CJ McCollum and others. I originally had Carmelo Anthony in the lineup, but
he barely played.
He does not barely play. And in a game that could be a high-scoring affair, then maybe you want to use him.
Is he getting more minutes now? He started out the year getting like 0 minutes.
Oh, he's playing. He's playing pretty well right now. And then I
also like 25 minutes a game.
Going with the guy who I deemed the steal of the draft on draft night, and that's Tyrese Halliburton on the other side. A lot of people are going to flock towards De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes. Tyrese Halliburton is the man with the master plan. Now, the second game that I wanted to look at here is Milwaukee-Detroit, and for that blowout factor that Austin had mentioned, right? So if they're going to go with a blowout here, it's likely going to be White Dante who gets a bunch of minutes. So I also went with White Dante DiVincenzo as one of my shooting guards. And then on the other side, I ran it back with what some people have considered to be, what the hell's his name? What's his name? Who's the coach? Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey's reclamation project this year after Christian Woods. That's Josh Jackson. He's coming back from an injury recently. He's getting his minutes back up, getting his money up, and not his funny up. But if they're getting blown out, then Josh Jackson might see north of 20 minutes. And at 4,800 and at a very low roster percentage, that's worth it for a man who can have, 30-point upside maybe. Not 30 NBA points. 30
Well, you say that, but he has scored 27 in a game this year, and his upside, and he's hit 40 fantasy points this year.
Where did Josh Jackson go to school? I know he got drafted by
Kentucky, right?
Oh, maybe Kentucky.
Yeah, I think he went to Kentucky.
I don't know. Anyways, and then I went with another game stack, not even because of the over-under, but because of the good players in it. I had to go with someone who was equally as high expensive as Damian Lillard. I went with Kevin Durant playing against the Knicks tomorrow night, and I ran it back on the other side with the big man down low, Mitchell Robinson. I think surprisingly, even though they have Jared Allen, they don't have much of a front court presence there in Brooklyn, and they're down a bunch of bodies. So maybe Mitchell Robinson. I mean, we know Thibodeau likes to play his guys 900 minutes a night. So Mitchell Robinson has a solid minutes, solid floor kind of a deal at center. And then the rest of my players, I went with Chris Paul. I originally had a game stack there with Atlanta and Phoenix, but I took that out as I was fixing things up. And then my final roster spot goes to the man who plays the Clippers tomorrow night. And that is Zion Williamson. I don't know if the game's on TV. It probably is. Pelicans Clippers. And you know what? Zion's the man. He's really good at basketball. And that's about it. I don't really have to justify playing Zion Williamson. That's it. I have 300 left, so I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between Zion and Porzingis. I'm just concerned about the amount of minutes that Porzingis is going to play against Charlotte. So odds are I'll err.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll err towards Zion. So that's my lineup. I can't wait to finish in first. And then we'll break it down next week when we come back.
Oh, man.
All right. Yeah.
Josh is finishing in dead last. I'm telling you guys this now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Team score.
I tell you, it won't be close. That's how I know you're finishing in last. Anybody who plays FanDuel basketball knows you do not just pick scores.
Why not?
Because if they score 20 points and get 1 rebound, 1 assist, guess how many FanDuel points they get?
20.
Like 23. Is that worth it?
Probably not.
Meanwhile, if Julius Randle scores 20 real points, he's going to end up putting up 50 FanDuel points because he's going to get 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal.
I'd like to say, by the way, that before we go, Miami is playing against Philadelphia right now. And Philadelphia has both Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Miami's starting lineup tonight was some guy who I've never seen before. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Precious Enchinwa, and Kelly Olynyk. That was their starting lineup tonight, and Miami's tied with 3.5 seconds left.
Is some guy you've never seen before, Gabe Vincent?
Yes. It was.
That guy's the leading scorer for Miami right now.
I'd just like to say that the Miami Heat continue to have permanent real estate in the Philadelphia 76ers heads And they're probably going to win this game and destroy their hopes. Joel Embiid sucks. That's all I have to
Ben
say.
Simmons fouled out like 10 minutes ago. So
Oh, well,
Going
yeah.
to overtime.
Unsurprisingly, he's a wool baby, and they have a beachside property inside of Philadelphia's heads. That being said, this has been episode 15 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and or watching. For the other co-hosts, one of them who's grabbing his chest, one of them you can't see, and one of them who lives in Syracuse. My name is Zach Nunez. Before we go, make sure to follow us on Twitter at HotStoveWNYO. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. What was the other one? Hit the notification bell as well, and leave a comment if you feel like commenting, as Josh goes ballistic in the bottom right, as he does every single week. This has been episode 15 of the Hot Stove Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We love you, and we will see you back at it again next week.